Yo, what is going on? What is going on? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So a few things to talk about regarding, obviously, this is the first practice. I think today the Eagles are practicing for the first time, heading into, obviously, the Monday night game this Monday. And between the Eagles and the Chiefs, it's going to be awesome. And, some of the injuries, a few players that, we need to see do better in the second half of the season, which we really need a ramp up at with some of these players and the usage of some of these players, and we'll see what happens, but definitely want to go over some of this, and I hope it doesn't become a big problem.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So, heading into close to the weekend with the Eagles practicing, and what are some things really regarding the roster going into the second half of this season? Not even just this game on Monday night, because, this game might not be, everyone's hyping up to be something else. It's not a Super Bowl. It's not a playoff game. This is, a regular game that the Eagles just need to be 1-0 this week. And for the second half of the season, there's definitely a few things that have been bothering me, but hopefully that, since the coaches are talking and there's a lot of stuff going into the background of the rest of this season, and maybe changes that have to be made. I think one here is Nolan Smith. He had an injury in the offseason that kind of delayed him a little bit, and probably was still configuring with that injury. He was playing on special teams, not really much playing anything. His snaps were really before last week. Before the Cowboys game, I think he was only getting 9% snaps, 7 to 9% snaps in rotation, which just wasn't good enough. We heard from, Desai, remember, it was like 4 or 5 weeks ago. I forgot what game it was, guys. I remember when Desai, someone asked him about why isn't Nolan Smith being used, blah, blah, blah. And he had an excuse saying, there's only so many snaps you can give all these players, and we'll try to get them in some packages and stuff like that. Even really beginning of the season, they had him marked down as a Sam linebacker, which we know, I didn't know how they were going to use him. I mean, yes, he has that athleticism. He could do a lot more than being an edge rusher. And since Nakobe Dean is out now, I wonder if there is more plans for him to be somewhat of a linebacker this year. Maybe if they really need him at that position, to kind of cross-train him there. Not really cross-train him, but he's played the position before all of college at Georgia, so should be interesting. But Derek Barnett needs to be probably a healthy scratch every week, okay? Because Derek Barnett has, 3 tackles for the year? I mean, it's not much. He hasn't had a quarterback hit in, 16, 17 weeks? That's how crazy it is. Nolan Smith needs more snaps. This isn't a third-round pick. This isn't a fourth-round pick. This is your first-round pick of the draft, okay, from this past year, and needs more snaps. I don't care what you say. The more he gets snaps, the better he's going to be. With these first-round picks, I give these guys 2 years to really produce and show me something. Jalen Carter has already done it within his first year. Jordan Davis in his second year is playing fantastic. I think the most vital piece to your defensive line, because without Jordan Davis, not saying that nothing works, but I think he's the most important defensive lineman, not really just commanding the double teams, but man, what a surgence from Jordan Davis this year. And Nolan Smith, he had that sack, I think, for a couple games ago, the Miami game, whatever it was. He hasn't really done much, if he's getting a little bit of pressures, he's trying to do some things. I mean, he's trying to be a little different, and, hopefully he gets more opportunity, and I don't want Derek Barnett to have snaps over him. Really, it was Nolan Smith with 9% snaps before that Cowboys game in the rotation. It was Derek Barnett with 20% snaps. Use role reversal if that's the case. You want to give Nolan Smith more snaps than Derek Barnett, then do that, okay? Derek Barnett's not going to be on this roster after this year. Nolan Smith's going to be here for another 3 years, and, if they pick up the 5th-year option or whatever, it's a different story, but they got to figure something out to get him more involved. I don't care if it's, really just use him as a pure edge rusher this year. God forbid if there's more injuries at linebacker, if Nakobe Dean comes back again, or, they don't sign any depth. They tried to sign some depth with Anthony Barr, didn't happen, reverted back to the Vikings, signed back with them, and, now they're back to square one. And obviously I think Zach Cunningham and Nicholas Morrow, have been playing pretty damn good this year. I don't think they're going to be consistent. I don't think they're the most perfect linebackers we have, but goddamn, I think Zach Cunningham has been probably our best linebacker, and I think is a big re-sign candidate for next year for the Eagles, because honestly, I think he's played well overboard, and when Nicholas Morrow gets his chances to play downhill, when these guys shoot the gaps, I think they're great. Like Nolan Smith could definitely cross-train to that position. I don't see why not if he has that much value. But I feel like, when there's not enough time for a player, especially a first-round pick, he's got to get after it this year, okay? I need to see more. I just need him on the field more. I know he's got talent. I'm not really saying he doesn't have anything in the tank or nothing, or he's a bust or something like that. And I think, I think next year will be more of a, by the time he gets the next offseason, he'll be more prepared. He'll be more ready. And sometimes when you have a full offseason program into your second year, really does help you. And obviously staying healthy is the number one thing. Like I said, I think that kind of messed him up a little bit going into the season, where he was just playing special teams. He was doing very little. And then they started to, not have the excuse of not putting him on the field and give him more freaking reps, man. I'm tired of this shit. You know what I mean? There's no excuse for him to not hit the field and have more snaps than, I don't care if Derek Barnett's a veteran or not. It's got to get done. We got to see what we have in him. And I'm telling you, if it's already enough, because really, this is the future of your defensive end group, because really, Brandon Graham could retire after this year. Hassan Reddick has 2 more years left, I think, on his deal, if I can remember, or a year. I forgot. I thought it was 2 years. Or no, 1 more year on his deal, because this year's his second year on his contract. So, we really have to put a lot of faith into Nolan Smith, and they just have to get more playing time, and I think that's the main thing. Definitely need to see, and it's not his fault. You know what I mean? They got to give him the opportunity more and more. And last week was his first opportunity. Didn't go great, but we'll be better going forward. Second player that I really want to have I know he's got talent. Like I said, this is the trade for Kevin Byard that we made with the Tennessee Titans, giving up 5th, 6th round, or 6th, 7th round picks, whatever it was. Kevin Byard, same thing as Chauncey Gardner-Johnson when he got to the team last year. And it took him like 3-4 games to kind of get acclimated a little bit. And I think that's the same thing with Kevin Byard. I think with this nickel problem that we've had for weeks and weeks and weeks, you can't rotate corners on specific you just can't rotate specific corners. You just can't do it. You can't rotate one position at cornerback, whether it's nickel or whatever. You can't keep doing that every single week. They were doing it all game for weeks and weeks on end, and it just gets annoying. Yeah, I don't know how you keep the hot hand in there using Sidney Brown for dime, using Eli Ricks for man-on-man and stuff like that. And they've moved Kevin Byard into that spot a few times, when he became a Philadelphia Eagle and didn't really play well. Not like all the secondary is not playing well with this scheme that we have, but we've talked about that enough every single week, which we'll be talking about it again real soon. But I think Kevin Byard settles in that safety, starts to make some noise a little bit, and I think that's the most important thing. I just got to give it a little bit more time with him, because I know he's got that playmaking ability, okay? I think we all know this, and I understand, like, people were complaining, like, the first game he was in, not even a whole week of practice, and people were bugging about it, that he was giving up coverages and stuff like that. It just takes guys time, and especially in this defense, I think almost anybody could look bad at this point. I think we've kind of looked at that and kind of made sense of it already. So that's definitely another player that I'm looking forward to seeing more of and making some plays this year in the second half of the season this year, which is great. He's got the ball hawk ability. He's a great downhill tackler. He's fantastic. It's just not, enough time with him. And now with the second half of the season, guys are rested up and ready to make a roll of this thing this year in 2023. So ready for that. And lastly, because we could talk about every player on this roster, but lastly, it's the running back core. And I really liked when they had DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell together in the backfield, or, they had Swift as a wideout, Gainwell as the running back, and did some type of little trick play or a trick handoff, something that you never see with BrianJohnson's offense. Like, when you see something brand new and different and it's successful, whether it's that one play you're like, damn, I never seen that play. That's a great play. Like, something that BrianJohnson will kind of take out of his pocket, because I think with Dallas Goedert being out, I feel like DeAndre Swift can be used so much more, and you can afford to put Kenneth Gainwell in the backfield, and you could do some trick things, or always have DeAndre Swift as that other option as a big mismatch for your wide receiver core as well. When he's a wideout, it's fantastic. You have a dual threat, and then keep, I think you can really keep defenses on their heels a little bit when it comes to these two guys. Now, as much as I haven't been a fan of Kenneth Gainwell, he had a really good game against the Cowboys, no doubt. Will we see some type of will Gainwell be a total monster like he kind of got into the playoffs last year and was just totally killing it, like doing a really good job? You know how I feel about Gainwell when he's between the 20s, when they put him in on short yardage, defenses know that it's a pass play. And usually when he's in red zone, it can kind of go either way, whether it's a pass or pretty much a run with him. I don't like the usage of some of these running backs. Obviously, Swift, nice and healthy, ready to go. Really his healthiest year of his career and his best year of this career. And he's top 5 in rushing right now and probably all purpose at this point. And to be honest with you, I think Swift can carry a little bit more of the load. I think the number one thing is that we need to see what they're doing with Rashad Penny. If Rashad Penny gets no snaps in this Kansas City game, then they are really not going to use him. I don't know how many more weeks I'm supposed to wait for Rashad Penny to get some snaps. He only had those 2 snaps in the start of the second half just because Jalen Hurts just need a little bit more support. And just they need to use him a couple times. And obviously Rashad Penny has been dying to get more reps and saying, I just want to contribute. And it seemed like when they signed him that he was going to be a main contributor here. Trying to think right now, if they didn't make the trade for DeAndre Swift, that would Rashad Penny actually get more snaps? You got 4 running backs that are dressed. Boston Scott comes back, and that involves him too. Man, if I was the offensive coordinator right now, what I would do for this running back core, Boston Scott would be better than Kenneth Gainwell in red zone. Swift probably would be better than Boston Scott in red zone. I'm not saying Boston Scott. I'm not saying that Kenneth Gainwell would not do anything in red zone. He's had some red zone touchdowns this year, but I just feel as of right now that I think Boston Scott's a huge mismatch. Because of his size, because people can't see him because of how short he is, and just he kind of disguises himself and then bursts through the hole and has that physicality and can, drag guys for a couple yards because he's got that big lower body. So the misusage of running backs has been a big problem for the Eagles this year on using certain backs on certain downs. I know when we had Deuce Staley, I know he just threw in random running backs at certain times when he knows the offensive playbook and knows how to throw players in there. I don't know if they're doing that with this running back coach this year, if that's what they're doing, or they have specific design plays for specific running backs. And that's not great because defenses are going to figure this out. I think for some plays, we've been figured out on that a little bit. I talk about the same play all the time where when you take out Swift and put in Gainwell between the 20s, it just makes so much sense. They're just going to pass the ball. Mostly 9 out of 10 times, that's what they're going to do. So, this is going to be interesting. If Rashad Penny doesn't get any snaps in this game against Kansas City, because honestly, I would use him as a finisher. I would use him as a red zone threat. I would use him on those short yardage. Because you're trying to protect Jalen Hurts as well. It takes pressure off of him. Until we find out how much more healthy Hurts is, really for resting for this long, probably feels a lot better, no doubt. Probably feels a heck of a lot better. But I think we're just so talented at this position. We just don't exploit it enough at times, and it gets really annoying. So hopefully I'm wrong about that. And, we start to see more Rashad Penny and start to see more Boston Scott, man, and just a little bit. I know there's so many snaps you can give certain guys. I understand that. But if certain things do work, you kind of keep going with it, okay? Whether Gainwell could have less snaps out of everybody. You know what I mean? It's whoever the hot hand is and whatever the right combination is for that game, you just keep using it. To be honest with you, even, the Vikings game, I really like the combination of DeAndre Swift and Boston Scott a lot. I think that combination is one of my favorites, and they haven't really used it since that game. You know what I mean? So it's going to be really interesting. But that's all I really want to talk about. Eagles practice today, be a lot of stuff going on, a lot of news hopefully to talk about. And, we're getting ready for Monday night. Eagles get to practice, and we'll see how everything goes. But, the Eagles, haven't really done any big signings, haven't done any big free agent signings. They've tried to bring in some depth in the building, didn't work this week. And just getting prepared for the second half of the season. So when it comes to Nolan Smith, Kevin Byard, and really this running back by committee, they really need to figure it out. So let me know what you guys think. What is Name a few players that you guys think that, you're excited to see in the second half of the season. What do you think that Sean Desai or BrianJohnson has to change with maybe getting the ball to certain players or, defensively, getting guys more reps? Or who do you think will, have a better second half of the season? You guys let me know in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes about Flawless. Peace out, guys. Peace.